on St. Louis Community Radio 92.9 KWRH.
Fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, good for the gut. Here's your health tip of the day from positivechoices.com. Italian scientists found when 153 adult volunteers adhered to a diet high in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, they had higher levels of certain gut microbes and microbial metabolites. These gut constituents are recognized to protect against inflammatory diseases and colon cancer. This diet was high in fiber, but simply taking a fiber supplement will not have the same beneficial effect. Choosing real, whole foods provides the benefits. Consume a diet with an abundance of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. To view this and other health tips, visit us at www.positivechoices.com.
The views and opinions expressed by the following program are those of the host, guest, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station or the Webster Rock Hill Ministries, its management, or other host or underwriting sponsors. Programs presented on KWRH-LP are for educational and entertainment purposes only. Views which are presented are for educational purpose only and are not intended to treat, diagnose, or claim any cure of disease or condition.
This is Amanda LaPlante, and you're listening to Get Real to Heal on KWRH-LP 92.9 FM right here in Webster Groves, Missouri. And with us today, I've got a couple of guests. As you may have noticed, there is a bit of a pandemonium going on regarding coronavirus. And so not only do I have in studio Hayley Sohn, the founder and CEO of Basically at Ready Made Meals. We're going to have some lighter topics later in the show together. Welcome to the show, Hayley.
Thank you. I am looking forward to the lighter topics.
For sure. But in the meantime, a lot of people that are really concerned about coronavirus, as perhaps we all should be. And so we've got board certified cardiologist, Dr. Michael Twyman, joining us on the show today to talk about, what we need to know and what we need to do to be prepared and stay well during this epidemic. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So, Doc, where do we begin?
Well, the first thing is I think people should not panic because panic doesn't serve anybody. So stressing yourself out is going to make your immune system weaker and make you more susceptible. So start first with knowing that likely everything's going to be okay for the majority of people.
Yeah, I mean, so the majority of people, I'm looking at the stats, and of course they change day to day, but it's somewhere around 80% of the people that do get infected with this. It's very mild symptoms. Some may not even know that they're infected, might just be carrying it, really not knowing that they're having this at all, correct?
That's correct. So for the majority of people, it's going to be mild. Might be just like a regular cold for them, but usually it's fevers, muscle aches, just not feeling great for a few days. But big challenge is you might be infectious before you actually start having symptoms. And that's probably one of the biggest concerns with this particular virus.
And of course, the other big concern with this virus, we've seen coronavirus type viruses before, right? In SARS and MERS. And now this one coming out, basically the main concern, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, is that 100% of people do not have immunity to this because it is new.
Correct. It's a novel virus that's just basically jump from, I think, bats to humans in China.
Okay. And so, with that concern, of course, as a medical professional, this just reminds me how much people working in our healthcare field really are heroes. They're on the front lines. And so I guess what is the risk for our healthcare workers and then the risk for our infrastructure as this outbreak occurs?
Yeah, but besides the risk to the people who are higher susceptibility to the virus, older people with heart disease, lung disease, smokers, the healthcare workers who are going to be exposed to it 24 hours a day are definitely at increased risk. And that's in my mind one of the biggest concerns is that that's what's happening in Italy is that they're overwhelming the system and they're not able to take care of everybody. At the same time, they don't have enough ICU staff. They don't have enough ventilators. So that's the bigger concern is that, once the healthcare providers, if they start getting sick, then there's less and less people to be able to care for the onslaught of people.
Right. And so, as I understand it, at this time, what we're really trying to do, 100% of people are going to have to build immunity to this virus. It's brand new. But what we really are trying to do at this moment is flatten the curve, so to speak. So,
Correct. And that's kind of the idea with the social isolation, is that if we can slow down how fast it's spreading, then that might not overwhelm the hospital systems as much.
right. So, just slowing the spread of that so that over the course of time, everybody's, getting this, going through it, building immunity, et cetera, but we're not getting that giant spike and then, of course, overwhelming the medical system. All right. That makes a lot of sense. So, again, keeping stress low, eating well, taking care of yourself, doing all the things that you should be doing anyway, right, is going to help people to stay well during this epidemic.
Correct. It's all the stuff you should have been doing up until this point. It's preparation. It's not that it's too late, but these are the things that, build you up. So when these things happen, you're much more prepared for it. So this is like, why you should have some water in your house, some food in your house, the toilet paper, the cleaners, the stuff you should have always had, because, these viruses, they're just, it's probably going to happen more and more often. So people just need to be prepared.
Now, and that's a good point. So this kind of thing is going to happen more and more often as the planet becomes more populated, right? And as we also have more ability to track things like this and really understand how these viruses and these epidemics spread and move, that's scary to a lot of people.
Understandably so. And it's one of those things that, the scientists are looking hard at this and, figuring out, if there's other things that can be done to kind of block the transmission. And until they know more, the best thing is just, abundance of caution. So if you're feeling ill, stay home. If you start getting, short of breath, then that's when you really need to go seek care. But if everybody starts, rushing to the hospitals, seeking care, they'll overwhelm the system. And if they're not infected with this, well, now you're going into a hotbed of a place that likely has the virus, and you're more likely to infect yourself. So, yes, there's probably going to be more viruses coming, but that's why you build up your immune system now. Like you said, sleep well. Try to eat some healthy foods every once in a while, and get outside, build up your vitamin D, and your immune system will hopefully be able to take care of these things. The one thing that honestly is not known is that do you actually truly build immunity to this if you catch it? They don't know that yet. So it's possible people could be reinfected with this virus.
Okay. All right. So not unlike certain other viruses that are out there.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for your time, Dr. Twyman. We really appreciate you coming on the show. Dr. Michael Twyman of Apollo Cardiology, again, calling in to share his wisdom and insight regarding coronavirus and just staying healthy during this epidemic. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. All right. Well, coronavirus.
There
we go.
Yeah.
Now we have it. We don't have it yet.
Yes.
We don't have it. Not yet.
Have it.
Yeah. But, it's been interesting how, and I've talked about this on the show a couple of times, and this is a good time to give a shout out to AFC Urgent Care. Speaking of brave people on the front lines, AFC Urgent Care is holding it down and taking care of people right here in Brentwood, right down the road. So they're across from City Hall there in Brentwood on Brentwood Boulevard. And, as they say in this bit that they've given me to share with everyone, don't try riding out the flu alone. You could end up experiencing additional complications, including pneumonia, dehydration, hospitalization. This really applies to coronavirus as well. Again, don't rush the hospitals when you start noticing signs and symptoms that are concerning. As Dr. Twyman just said, follow that advice. That's good advice. Do go get it checked out if you're really concerned about it. If you're having trouble breathing, difficulty breathing, very high fevers, things like that. But urgent care, AFC Urgent Care in Brentwood is ready to help, and they're able to test and treat these various different viruses and illness, and they do a great job with it there. They're proud to underwrite Get Real to Heal, and they're ready to care for you and your family's urgent care needs, especially during this crazy, crazy flu season. Did you? Yeah, I just, wow. But, even amid this flu season, I mind my inflammation. I'm careful, the immune system, right, mounts an inflammatory attack against any infection, any trauma that goes on in the body, and it's able to do so more effectively if you mind your inflammation in other ways, right? So if you're eating an anti-inflammatory diet, eating foods that are good for your body, right? That heal your body rather than cause inflammation and harm to it. If you're minding your stress, whether that's, through exercise or meditation or whatever, just making sure that you have some stress management practices in place, because as Dr. Twyman said, stress causes inflammation in the body. Stress, really creates havoc for your immune system as well. So just all these different little lifestyle and diet bits that I have in place have enabled me to travel, across the country and back. Really, I've been to the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean and all over the place in the last couple of months during cold and flu season, and not caught anything noticeable. No fevers, no issues. And I really think it's a product of your lifestyle, That said, I did have the flu last year, not this year, but last year. So, I mean, it happens, right? It's not perfect, but we do all these things that we can to be preventive and be proactive and be prepared. And that's really all we can do, because he's right. We're going to see more and more of this as time goes on. And the good thing is now we have the technology and the data in place to be able to track the curve and flatten the curve so that more people can be saved.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. On to lighter topics.
Yay.
Let's all just breathe that out.
Let's not get stressed out about this. Raise our inflammation.
Okay. So another thing that stresses me out sometimes, and I'm a health coach, right? I that's what I do. I eat, breathe, sleep, live health and wellness. It's changed my life, right? And a big part of that is the food that I put in my body. Yes. One thing that stresses me out, though, still to this day, and I even teach people about it, is meal prepping.
Oh yeah. It's a big stressor.
Yeah. So, dear friend, Hayley Sohn,
yes.
You have designed a meal prepping course.
I have. And I was thinking about this yesterday. So let's akin cooking at home to a test. And if someone just took this test to you and said, can you get an A on this test? You would be like, well, what subject matter is it? What do I need to study? What are all the things I need to do in order to prepare for this test? We, most of the time, just get into the kitchen with absolutely no preparation, no plan, and then we think we're a bad cook and we're a failure because whatever we made didn't come out right. You have to have the preparation and the planning in place before you get into the kitchen. It makes absolutely no sense to try to do that without. So you don't even have to be a good cook to take this course and meal prep successfully. You don't even ever have to have cooked before. As long as you could read a recipe and follow it, you can do this. It's really that simple. So it's all about the preparation and the planning that leads up to the actual cooking.
Okay, so I so want to pick your brain about it. I don't want to give everything away though, because I know there's so much good information and meat.
Yes.
Or maybe not meat if you don't eat meat. But anyway, there's so much good material that you have in this course. So, all right. What's the first thing that you tell people about meal prepping? Like, where do you start?
So you got to start with what you're going to make. So a lot of times we go to the grocery store and we have absolutely no idea what we're going to be making. There's no plan. So we
gotta have a plan.
We show up at the store, we start putting stuff in our cart, and we wonder why we are in the grocery store for a couple of hours. It takes us so long, and we wonder how we spent so much money. And we get all that stuff home with no plan. We usually don't end up cooking all of it because we weren't really sure what we're going to use for it. We use it for anyways. So we really need to choose our recipes ahead of time. And this doesn't have to be anything fancy or crazy. I actually, in the course, teach you how to write your own recipes. I know that sounds complicated. It really doesn't have to be. It's quite simple.
It's actually fun.
And it's fun.
Too, honestly. Yeah. And I don't write my own, I'm really bad about writing it down. I don't write my own recipes.
I am too. That's okay.
I'm not that person. But I've gotten to really a point where I enjoy cooking. I treat it as an act of creativity, and things turn out pretty good.
Yes. And it's a skill, like riding a bike. You didn't hop on that bike and do a fantastic job the first time. You got to practice it. So if those people who say, I hate cooking, I'm not good at cooking, it's like, you don't really enjoy things that you aren't very good at or you don't think you're good at. So practice until you're good.
Yeah.
And then you'll like it. I'm telling you.
I wouldn't say practice makes perfect, but practice makes pretty good.
makes
Makes
it
pretty
helps.
good. Yeah, it helps. It helps. No, it does get better with time. And I remember, when I started a few years ago, really learning how important food was for my health conditions, my many, many autoimmune diseases that I have if I went back to eating the way I did. But I really didn't know how to cook. I mean, I if it wasn't from a box and you add milk or something and you stir it on that was cooking, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's interesting to be in this place where not only have I learned how to cook, but I've also learned how to kind of invent my own things and really have fun with it.
Yes.
But it really was overwhelming at first, right? And some people still get overwhelmed with, looking at the week in advance and a checklist and really trying to come up with that plan. So, what are some ways that people can de-stress and look at it in a different way, right?
Well, I would say give yourself enough time. I think part of this is we don't plan. You're talking about planning ahead, and we don't even plan enough time to plan ahead, to sit down and plan ahead. So give yourself, maybe like 2 hours on a Sunday, on a day or any day that you have a little bit of time, and take a look at your calendar. Don't overthink it. If you have a little extra food, you can pop it in the freezer. They're fantastic for that. And if you don't cook enough food, guess what? There's a grocery store right around the corner. There's other options. So I would say don't be overly like, oh my God, if I don't plan this perfectly, it's going to ruin everything. It'll be fine. So do the best that you can. I generally for myself and what I teach in the course is just give it a ballpark. You think you're going to have a couple, 3 lunches at your desk and 3 dinners at home. That's a great place to start. And if it changes, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. You can roll with it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Another thing that I remember you doing, you've come in and taught at some group classes that I had and did an amazing and phenomenal job. If you ever get a chance to go check out Hayley's cooking classes, they're awesome. But one thing that you talked about was just taking the same items and changing the texture of them so they feel like a different meal.
Yes. So you can take some basic ingredients and mix them up in different ways. Put lettuce under something, put a sauce over something, bake it all together, and it will change everything about what you're eating. So I think the other challenge that people face is we pick these recipes and we pick things that are really specific in flavor and texture, and they can't really be mixed in a different way. So choosing things that are a little bit plainer and more general, I guess, if that's the correct term, and then kind of changing them up throughout the week. So if we make a couple of basics, some roasted vegetables, some grilled chicken, then we can take those same ingredients and have them in different ways throughout the week and have a completely different meal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even just little things like, a whole chicken breast versus chopped up chicken and, or like just shredded chicken, like just texturally to where it's like the same thing, but you're prepping it in different ways. You're adding a sauce, you're adding oils or adding different veggies. It really does change things up. And you can prep all of that at once.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Good stuff. So, and you are the CEO and founder of Basically It Ready-Made Meals.
Yes.
Say more.
So I started as a nutrition educator, and I was out there speaking to people about eating for health. And I would always mention, if you want to be eating healthy, you got to be cooking at home. This is a skill that, everyone should know and learn. And everyone would raise their hand and say, well, I don't cook at home. There's no way I'm going to do that. I only eat foods of convenience, gas station, fast food, delivery pizza. So what are my options? And I didn't have a good answer for that. So I started cooking for people at just, ready to eat, individually portioned meals and delivering it to their house, which was and is more convenient than the drive-through because we take it right to you. And that's how Basically It Meals was born.
Okay. All right. How's it going?
It's going great. I love it. It's fantastic to coming from where I came from, where I was just speaking to people and not really feeling that I was having any impact at all, to this place where I'm, sort of in people's kitchens with them.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The change the impact that we can have on people's lives with this product is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So cool.
You don't realize it, but you were in my kitchen last night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did we have a good time?
We did. We had a great time. We had some, what was it? Winter harvest veggie bowl, I believe,
Nice.
or chicken and veggie bowl. It was delightful.
Awesome.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And it's good. It's a convenient option. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, of course. You're
Appreciate
so welcome.
So, all right. You also are let's see, your degree is in exercise science and nutrition, correct?
Yes.
And you do some really great Facebook Lives called Wine About It.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they're fun.
I'm glad.
Yeah, where you answer people's questions and you share a little bit about what you've learned on your own health journey and also what you've learned in school and in your training. So, what are some of the frequently asked questions that you've been getting recently?
We get quite a range of questions. I would say a lot of people ask about meal prep. It's one of those things that, with this movement, we are really interested in, but not sure where to start. So that's a big one. I'm often asked about counting calories, macros, weighing food. And I think that's so interesting. There's also kind of a movement on the other side of things that's like, if you restrict and count and you know exactly what's on your plate and going into your mouth, then you can have this perfect life. And
I wish it worked that way.
I wish it worked that way, but I find that when we get really restrictive over here, it's like a whack-a-mole. It's just like popping up everywhere else. So I don't suggest that. And I always try to like turn people's viewpoint around and point them towards more intuitive eating.
Yeah, likewise.
Yes.
Likewise. Yeah. Just be mindful.
Being mindful and really paying attention to what's happening. Your body is telling you stuff. It's talking to you every time you eat, every time you put stuff in your mouth. So paying attention to when you're hungry, or if a food that you eat, even if it's healthy, mushrooms don't make you feel good.
Mushrooms make me terribly, terribly ill. It's
But
really
they're
bad.
healthy.
Yeah, they trigger my Crohn's, but they're healthy for most people. So, it's really important to get in tune with what's good for you may not work for everyone else, right?
Yes.
Just tapping into those signs and then the signs of inflammation in your body too. And a few little tips regarding meal prepping, right? So one thing, I deal with a lot of complex cases in my practice, right? Collaborate with a lot of really wonderful doctors that are amazing. And they'll bring me in, if we've got a difficult case that's got specific goals, to be able to support them. Sorry, we've got an interesting comment that came up there. Did you notice that? Hi, Jared. By the way, if you're listening live on air on 92.9 FM, you can hop on and see video of Hayley and I anytime on Facebook Live, facebook.com/GetRealToHeal or facebook.com/AKLaPlante. And you can also see us on Instagram at GetRealToHeal and today on yours as well. What are your social handles?
Actually, I did this one for my personal. This is Hayley at Hayley Sohn. But basically it meals is at basically it meals on Facebook and basically _it_ on Instagram.
Okay. So you can hop on and check us out. So we've got some interesting comments coming up. It says, hey, that guy didn't wash his hands. Yes, I will definitely follow up on that, Jared. By the way, in the background, we've got the bathroom. You can see the bathroom here behind us in the studio. Anyway, we're having some fun today. So thanks for watching, you guys. Really glad to have you on. All right. So getting back to that, though, I deal with some complex cases. And one thing that, a lot of people don't realize, when you're meal prepping, histamine intolerance can be an issue. So like prepping proteins ahead for some people with certain conditions, if you're meal prepping and you're going, gosh, I'm fine the first couple of days, but by Thursday, Friday, when I eat my meals, you're having some interesting reactions that are a little different. Histamine builds up over the course of the week. So you might do better with freezing your meals rather than leaving those in the fridge, right? Because that can freeze that process of breakdown in those proteins. So there's some just little interesting tricks too, from an integrative standpoint, integrative and functional nutrition standpoint, that can help people to hack further. So if you're really on a health, a mission to get to optimal health, and you're doing things like, purchasing ready-made meals or doing the meal prepping, and you're going, okay, something's still off. It's interesting how you can really dig in and fine tune.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tweak it here and there. And it's
and
just a process.
Yeah. And just knowing that, again, that's another example where what works for many may not work for you. And that's okay. We can figure that out.
Yes.
So
exactly.
So call me. Call me. We'll talk. Yeah. So, okay. What's another frequently asked question?
That's a great question. Let's see. Oh, we've been talking about weight loss a little bit.
Okay.
It's been fun and interesting.
Yeah, you've been on a little journey recently with that.
In the past, I've just kind of like tweaked my food and not really put much thought into it. But when I found myself in January, like 10 pounds heavier than I expected to be or planned to be. I was like, you know what? Let's dig down into these habits, these new habits that I've created as a business owner who works from home, who can just basically snack whenever she wants. So I really went on this mission to like not do that anymore and figure out why I was doing that, which has been incredibly interesting and enlightening. And I'm really excited to kind of take all this information and help other people with it.
It's fun that way, right? Every
Yeah.
time that I go through something in my own personal health journey, I learn something new that helps me. I'm able to pay that forward and teach and share with others. And I just think that's amazing. And there's a lot of mirroring that goes on in my client sessions as well, as they're sitting across from me and they're telling me about something. And, and I'm like, well, maybe. And then I'm like, note to self, do this because I have not been keeping up with it, So it's interesting how as we heal ourselves and we reach out to try and help heal others, right? We're also still continuing that healing journey.
Yes,
all along.
absolutely. Yeah, you find that like as your clients grow, you grow too,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Constantly. Like I have such a better understanding of myself and a better understanding of so many things just after this journey that I've been on with them. It's
so
constant evolution.
Yes.
It's really cool.
And that's what it is meant to be, And let's come back to the cooking. It's an evolution. Like this is where you start. It's not where you're going to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where you're starting, but you're doing lots of interesting things, right? You're on TV quite a bit lately.
Mm-hmm.
Been getting out a bit.
Yeah.
And of course we have our side hustle, our side project,
Yes.
Wellness Confidential. By the way, you can follow us.
Follow that. It's at Wellness Confidential on Facebook. And I think it's just wellness.confidential.
Wellness.confidential on Instagram. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Yeah. So we basically, we filmed a TV pilot a few months back. Weren't in love with the result. It was okay. But we decided to just we have lunch once a month.
Yeah.
And we talk all things health and wellness.
And have a great time.
Do a recipe.
Yep. We take you in the kitchen with us and talk about food and what we eat and all the things. I think it's a great way to like kind of bring people behind the scenes with two people who are so, studied in nutrition.
Well, I think it is fun, and it was born out of the idea that we have all these conversations where we just kind of nerd out and learn things from each other and from our friends in a casual and fun way. And we wanted to bring that into everyone else's homes and invite you to the table with us. So definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close on time. I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. And how can people reach out, follow you? Give us a little information.
Yeah, so basically at Meals on Facebook is a great place, and also Instagram. I do a ton of like Instagram stories, so those are always fun. And that Instagram is basically _it_.
Okay, and if they want to sign up for the meal program?
Yeah, I mean, that's real easy. Basically at meals.com, you just click the button that says meal service and you get signed up. It's super simple.
All right. And to find out about your online meal prepping course.
Yes.
See, you've got so much going on.
I know. Too much for me.
It's good.
So that course launches next Friday, and so March 20th, the people who are on the wait list are going to have get like an opening discount. So get on the wait list at my website, meals.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Hayley Sohn. All right. This has been Amanda LaPlante. You've been listening to Get Real to Heal on KWRHLP 92.9 FM. If you'd like more information from me, reach out to me anytime. Find me online, amandalaplante.com, or find me on Facebook at Get Real to Heal or Instagram at Get Real to Heal. And I am an integrative nutrition health coach. I'm here to help you anytime. Free consultations, and go be well. Make it a great day.
This is the Lally Squishy Markets of Avery Elementary. You are listening to KWRHLP 92.9 FM, Webster Groves, Missouri.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. I feel like I'm choking.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse.
Opinions expressed by the following program are those of the host,
This is Democracy Now!
Anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the test.
Anybody that needs a test gets a test, says the President of the United States. That's simply untrue.